If you or anyone you know is suffering from depression or suicidal thoughts, please call this number right away. And always remember, if you are not here, someone else will have to tell your story for you. But you are the best person to tell your own story. To find your purpose in life and feel true happiness, you have to get through it so that you can share your story. You are beautiful, purposeful, worthy, and loved. Please do me a favor and tell yourself that every day for 21 days. Welcome back to another episode of JazzyXcrime. This is the case of Heather Armstrong. She was one of the first and most popular mommy bloggers. Everyone loved her because of how raw and real she was in her blog.
So I am Heather Armstrong. I am the author of Dooce. Been blogging for 14 years, and I am the fucking queen of the mommy fucking bloggers.
And something that started off as an online diary for her faraway family turned into a lucrative business with an audience of 8 million. But with all the love, there also came hate and judgment that fueled her childhood depression she had battled mostly all of her life.
So in the last almost 15 years of me doing this, I've experienced a lot of success, but I've also experienced quite a bit of crap. I was hospitalized for postpartum depression, which I wrote about, but that depression is now used against me. I'm that crazy woman on the internet.
And in May of 2023, her depression won and she took her own life. This is Heather Hamilton. She was raised in Memphis, Tennessee, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is LDS, but left the religion after graduating from Brigham Young University in 1997 and moving to Los Angeles. She then was diagnosed and treated for chronic depression on papers, although she had suffered with it most of her life. She was a web developer, but shortly afterwards, she moved back to Salt Lake City, where she was a consultant and a web designer. She also has started a blog as a way to share her thoughts on pop culture with faraway friends. Her pseudonym was Dooce. A pseudonym is a different name that writers go by other than their real name. But her co-workers actually gave her that name because she could spell the word dude really, really fast. But within a year, her audience grew from a few friends to thousands of strangers around the world. And she found herself writing about her personal life and even her job. More specifically, how much she wanted to strangle her boss. Her employer found the site, read that specific blog, and fired her. She immediately took it down, but 6 months later, she started it back up again. This time writing about her new husband, John Armstrong, and how unemployment had forced them to move from Los Angeles to her mother's basement in Utah. Then something happened that would never allow her to get writer's block again. She was pregnant. Although her plan was to end her blog once she gave birth, she actually continued using this online diary for her newfound love in motherhood. She named her baby Lita Elise, more so writing about what the dark side of motherhood offered and how she was lonely, tired, and all the challenges she was facing as she was adapting. And let me tell you something about manifestation. When you are just doing something that you love without an expectation, you're not hovering over the outcome, you're just letting it breathe and going with the flow, you will for a fact see the fruits of your labor. Heather didn't plan to make this as big as it was actually getting. She was just simply writing down what she was going through and how it made her feel. And she stayed authentic to herself. And she just so happened to look up and realize she had 8 million monthly readers.
Which means that for the last 11 years, I have been exploiting my children for millions and trillions of dollars. There's this one. She made me a lot of money. This is good content. And then I realized that if I expanded my family, I could expand my readership. So I added this one. You guys, I mean, the cash rolled in. And oh, the money that I made.
She was on Oprah. She was featured by Forbes magazine on the list of the most influential women in the media for 2009. She also wrote a book that reached number 16 on New York Times bestseller. And it was called It Sucked and Then I Cried, How I Had a Baby, a Breakdown, and a Much Needed Margarita. That was published March 24th of 2009. And that title is so catchy. If I saw that today, I would actually buy it. But her success was mind-blowing, right? So after she got fired, she ain't say, oh, that's not the right way to be, let me change. After she got humiliated, she didn't say, oh, I'm embarrassed of myself, let me go hide. She said, I am who I am. And she was a firm believer in staying true to herself. The brand was already created, and all she had to do was keep being herself.
I'm not going to tell you about the history of my website. You can go read my Wikipedia page. Don't you know who I am?
And she was making money in her sleep. And by 2017, New York Times Magazine labeled her the queen of blogging. Beautiful story, right? Unfortunately, that's not where it ends, because everyone pulled on her for more. It was their entertainment because it was so relatable, or some people just admire her ability to be raw unapologetically. Her public, depressing, bold cry for help was in high demand in exchange for views. And by this time, her and her husband, John, divorced. Her depression grew worse, and she enrolled in a clinical trial at the University of Utah's Neuropsychiatric Institute. She was overwhelmed as a single mother and announced that she felt like a heap of nothing. She was put in a chemically induced coma for 15 minutes at a time for 10 sessions. She was feeling like life was not meant to be lived. And when you are that desperate and you have kids, you would try anything. She thought her kids deserved to have a happy, healthy mother. And she needed to know that she had tried all options to be just that for them. In 2019, she wrote her third book titled The Valedictorian of Being Dead, The True Story of Dying 10 Times to Live. It was about her experiences with the treatment. And she said, I want people with depression to feel like they are seen. She stated that she wanted to be the voice for people battling with depression. And Heather also admitted the hate she received online was very, very scary and very, very hard to live through. She said it gets inside your head and eats away at your brain.
My divorce was played out across the internet, the dissolution of my marriage. I read about it on Jezebel. I read about it in my local paper. I read about it in the New York Times. I read about it all over Twitter. People will recognize me in public. They won't say anything, and then they'll go home and they'll send me an email that says, I saw you at the grocery store, but you looked really haggard and gross, so I didn't want to say hi.
In 2019, when she returned to her safe place called the internet, bloggers had now been replaced with social media influencers. But she continued writing and moved to Instagram, writing about how mommy bloggers were now dead and how she wanted to start a nonprofit for teen suicide in Utah. She was now in a romantic relationship with Pete Ashdown, who also lived with her and her children, and he was a tech entrepreneur. She had been sober of alcohol for 18 months until she recently relapsed, and on May 9, 2023, she was found by her boyfriend, Pete. Heather had ended her own life.
My children's teachers read what I write. My children's friends read what I write. My children's friends' parents read what I write. All of my neighbors read what I write. I was sued by a publishing company. A lawsuit that was eventually settled, but not before my entire savings was completely wiped out. And I've endured this for the last 15 years.
You've got this scary lantern-jawed, papier-mâché, giant head look going on, like you're dying of cancer, which I hope you do. Maybe it's because the only person who really cared about your welfare was your ex, and look how you screwed that up. It's clear from your blog that you're just a bottomless sponge of need and desperation. I hope your kids sue you for every penny you ever made, because they'll need it for the therapy they'll have to pay for having you as a mother. Yeah, get over yourself. You're a blogger, not a nurse, not a teacher, not a therapist, not anyone who has devoted their life to actually helping people. You're a self-serving idiot who is pouring your children's lives all over the internet for the sake of fame and greed. You are a pitiful piece of nothingness.
This heartbreaking story can leave you feeling empty like it did me, but I felt good again after I donated $20 to a teen suicide charity, and you can do the same. Even if it's just a couple dollars, we can make this change together. Always be kind to one another. You never know what somebody is going through. But if you'd like to see more celebrity cases, click right here. And if you'd like to subscribe so that you never miss another case, then click right here. I love you, and I will see you in the next episode of JazzyXcrime.